Welcome to the Northern Ontario Mining Showcase podcast. It's a limited series for the Echo Community Podcast Network by Story Studio Network and Clark Communications. We highlight the influential voices, partners, and leaders who are driving innovation, research, and development, creating new market opportunities and new ways of doing business in the mining industry.
I'm Shawna McKenzie. I am a marketing and community outreach coordinator for Keepers of the Circle. We are an Indigenous hub located in Northern Ontario. Physically, we are located in Kirkland Lake, as well as New Liskeard, also known as Temiskaming Shores. And we are dedicated to the promotion and support of the political, economic, cultural, and social equity of Indigenous women and gender diverse folks.
So, and it's interesting that, you're here in the middle of all of this, which has traditionally, and I'm not telling you anything you don't know, this is traditionally a male environment, dominated predominantly for historically. Never mind that it has not necessarily included to the degree which we would want the Indigenous and First Nation to be involved. So there's two things there that you're really kind of enterprise in terms of pushing those agendas forward. And I think it has come up in as much as people I've talked to have said, mining has a great opportunity, we've got good future, et cetera, but skills and capacity in the workplace are hard to find. Jobs we got, but try to fill them with something else. And on the other hand, I've heard people from the First Nations and Indigenous community say, we're here. We are where you are mining. We are where you are harvesting the forest. So
this is very true, isn't it?
Right. And we can fill those jobs. So I'm curious to know, when you say outreach, who are you doing the outreach to, and what's the effect?
Well, we're here doing outreach for sure. So creating partnerships is one of our number one goals while we're here. Me and my partner, Kathy Lajanus, she's our partner liaison. And she's built several really strong relationships in the community, in industry. We're also working on partnerships with the skilled trades and the unions. But we do outreach to community as well. So we are very vested in doing community outreach and collegiate outreach, training. So we're always looking to form new partnerships.
So what's the biggest or the number one, all due respect, I'll call it the dumb question that you get?
What's the dumbest question we get?
What's the number one dumb question that you get in terms of, probably a misconception or a understanding of what it is we need to do in terms of the area that you're trying to, we're trying to get skill development, particularly for women, particularly in the Indigenous community. Is there something that sort of drives the misunderstanding?
Is there? Not that I'm aware of, Dave.
Oh, that's good.
To be honest with you. Perhaps I'm a little, maybe my rose-colored glasses are on a little bit, but I come from the heart, and I know the work we do comes from the heart. It's genuine. Empowering Indigenous women and gender diverse people is what we're here to do. Build bridges for them, provide those training opportunities, find those placements that hopefully lead to employment.
So let me ask you the other way then. What are the challenges have been to actually have that, have to build the bridge? I mean,
to have to build the bridge in the first place. Yeah. Good question. That's a really good question. So like you already mentioned yourself, Indigenous people are typically not the first invited to the table when it comes to consultation, and certainly women, just being a woman, you face greater challenges. There are barriers you have to overcome that a man doesn't to enter the workforce. It's typically things like childcare, right? It's not usually a man who has to worry about the kids. He gets to go to work in the morning and not have to think about those things. Transportation and technology supports. We make sure that the women that we're supporting and training are well supported, and they know that. So we use the phrase wraparound supports, and we look at the woman and her family, not just her, but how do we support you so we can ensure you're successful? What do we need to do? And we rally as a team in every area of our organization when it comes to that support.
So is that, I mean, I see where the the woman is at the center of that, obviously, in terms of, trying to acquire the skill, develop the skill, and then the job opportunities, etc. Do you lead them through that journey, or how does that work?
Well, we provide the training and the structure. We work with them as they develop their own career coaching, their own career plan.
Mm-hmm.
We're there to coach and facilitate the journey. Our core programming is known as what's known as culture, confidence, and competence, where we do a lot of career exploration with the women. We do offer the program to men as well, but that's on as a requested basis, and sometimes we offer it in community on a fee-for-service. But our training is always free for Indigenous women and gender diverse folks.
So what specifically are you training them in?
They're receiving professional development. So we are working on their resumes, their interview skills, their professional presence, such as LinkedIn. We're working on their personal development, but I think what's really strongly unique about our program is that we focus on cultural elements as well. We don't take for granted that not everyone grows up with their culture. Often it's we're relearning, right?
Mm-hmm,
We're reconciling ourselves in terms of that. But our 8 weeks, it's structured personal development, professional development, culture, health and safety, and then they receive like their basic certifications like health and safety and their WMIS and that kind of thing.
Which would be necessary for the skilled trades in general.
Exactly.
Right.
So we want to bring them as far as we possibly can in terms of preparing them for what's next in their journey. And it's their journey. They identify whether they want to go on to a pre-apprenticeship or a work placement or further vocational training. Every woman is unique, and we treat them that way.
So where does the educational system and the industry writ large sort of overlap with what you're doing in terms of, I mean, I can see where you've already described how difficult it is for women in general. Indigenous women becomes more of a challenge. Indigenous women in skilled trades, I can see, that's, again, just not a traditional viewpoint. And there's all kinds of baggage and bias that's baked into all that makes it harder. So I can see how, a young, smart, bright woman who's got everything going for her looks at that and says, shit, that's not worth it. That's a hard road to hoe to get into that particular one, as passionate as I may be, because the system is not really all that welcoming for me.
Yeah.
Now, maybe I'm overstating it.
It's not designed for them, is it? So in terms of success, I know right now we're working on providing more mentorship, finding those mentors, bringing them forward. And when we do Career Week, we pack the schedule filled with experience, people who are working in the industry, women who are journey women already, women who have their red seal, women who are out there working on job sites and starting their own businesses. So we go the lengths we need to go to find these women who are willing to encourage other women, get in the trades.
So what's your enrollment look like in terms of numbers, in terms of people who've gone through the program?
People who've gone through the program, we've, at last count, we've trained over 745 Indigenous women. It's our AWIM, Aboriginal Women in Mining, our Pathways to Resilience, or our Culture, Confidence, and Competence. We also offer entrepreneurship training, energy advisor training. We have a multitude of offerings. Our core training runs every season, so quarterly. And because it's offered online, we don't have an upper limit. We can accommodate, right?
Now, is there a college or an educational institution that you're affiliated with, or you would more or less say this is a program that you will want to consider?
Depending on their goals.
Right.
We have partnered with Northern College in Kirkland Lake. We've got other partnerships beyond just that. We look for placement opportunities with employers for them to go into upon finishing our 8-week core program.
We do some work with veterans, And one of the things that we've done is talked about why you should hire a veteran who's transitioning out of the military and all of the assets and the attributes that they bring that they don't realize, by the way, often. It's an interesting story because the veteran will talk about they'll talk about the mission, they'll talk about what we as a group did. We'll not be able to articulate very well what we as an individual am bringing. So when you interview me and ask me, well, what have I done? I say, well, we as a group did these things. So it sounds to me almost like we're in a place where you're going to find a group of employers or a certain part of the sector that's going to look at you and say, you are the secret sauce to actually getting us the skills that we need, and we got great success, and I don't want to tell anybody about it.
Keep it under wraps.
Exactly, right? We found that with some of the veterans. It was quite funny. So how do you kind of break through that to make sure that, you could be a victim of your own success if you're not careful?
That's true of anything, though, isn't it?
Sure.
Yeah. How do you break through that if you're not careful? That's a good question.
Yeah, I mean, are there industries or certain parts of the sector that are more likely to come to you to say, do you have a lead on people who are coming up, through the system, through the education process?
Yeah, and it's great when that happens, when we're able to connect somebody who's identified, this is my goal, this is what I want, and then the opportunity comes to us and we're able to connect the two. Mm-hmm. That's a beautiful moment when that happens, yeah.
So your program is 8 weeks?
It's 8 weeks long.
Yeah, and is there a certain window when it starts, stops, or is this one of these things I can pick up as I go because it's online?
We've scheduled it into 2025. We know when our dates are. We know when our career weeks are. So we're continually looking to the next one to bring in our guest speakers and find our mentors. And we're always preparing ahead. Our next one starts April 22nd, and that's open now. We're accepting applications for that now. We're promoting it now while we've got one currently underway. I think they're in their 5th week, our current cohort, and we're looking ahead to our spring cohort now.
And if they want to find you, where do we do that?
keepersofthecircle.com, and we're all over social media.
Very good.
Yeah.
Oh, we've heard about that. It's on the
It's on the internet.
Shawna, thank you.
Oh, thank you very much,
luck.
Dave. It was really nice to meet you.
Good to meet you.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for listening to the Northern Ontario Mining Showcase podcast. The series is produced for the Echo Community Podcast Network by Story Studio Network and Clark Communications. For more information, visit our website, northbayecho.ca.